To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. I've got some really bad news that I'm going to share with you at the end of this video, so be sure to stay to the end. So we moved the chickens yesterday, and I do regret that I didn't record it. So just the other day we had them over here, and so we moved them over here. I took the lawnmower and I hooked it up to my little tongue on the chicken coop I made here, and that works out really well. I got these little tires. I got to be careful that I don't bottom out. I mean, the tires could be bigger, I could lower it down more, but it works pretty good. When I built it, I didn't have a lawnmower in mind. When I built it, I was just going to pick it up and move it around. But the lawnmower makes it so much easier. So I can move it around on hills and terrain, and with the chains on the lawnmower now, the tire chains, I didn't lose any traction. But they're really liking it over here. We got this weeded stump, and they've been really tearing into that. It's quite incredible how quickly chickens can tear up a patch of ground and just completely make it bare. So you'll remember this is the area where I've been cutting cedar trees down. Well, I took my time, but just this last winter, a couple months ago, I cleaned all this out. But this opened up a lot of sun time. When I say sun time, you know, like the sun actually has more time to sit on the solar panels in the garden area. But it also makes a nice little chicken area too. I've been mowing this, but I'm beginning to think I'm going to let it grow up, and then I can bring the chickens over here and they can eat the grass. But we also have the wooded area over here that we think we're going to park them into. I mean, this is a lot of area where they could eat a lot of grass and weeds, and they really pick it clean. And Carolyn's wanting to clean this area up anyways without hurting the saplings. And we want the saplings to grow so we can have plenty of firewood the rest of our life. So these will get bigger as we cut the big trees. The saplings will grow, and we'll have trees in our future. So if they clean up just the weeded area, we can come down here, we can have picnics. It's just such a pretty area down here, but in the summertime, it's kind of scary to come down here because this is where the snakes are hanging out. Now, chickens are pretty good at dealing with snakes. They'll actually help us reduce the snakes population. Now, I know a lot of people say get guineas, but guineas you got to raise them for a year and before you can let them out. Otherwise they run off, I hear, and they make a lot of noise. So they were only on this spot just for a few days, and they completely tore it up. It was overgrown. It was getting pretty tall, you know, like kind of like this. And just in a couple days, they chewed all this down. I don't really want to continue to put them on patches of grass. You know, we kind of like that area if they're just going to tear it up. So we'll put them in areas that they can clean up for us. Okay, so today I thought I would put the finishing touches on our well house that I've made out of this PVC paneling that I got at Home Depot for $14 a sheet. So what I'm going to do is I need to make sure that this thing doesn't fly out of the hole here. I'm going to take these PVC pipes and I'm going to drill a hole into the inside here. So I'm going to drill a hole right here, and then I'm going to shove or drive this PVC pipe through that hole into the dirt. That way, if the wind blows, it'll lock it in place. So I changed my mind a little bit. I was going to use this PVC pipe like I showed you, but when I got it in there, it still moved around quite a bit. Then I found this piece of steel pipe just laying around in the yard. I mean, it's everywhere around here. So I went ahead and drove that in, and that really did a good job. So I pulled all that dirt out, that big mound of dirt. I shoveled that out so I could pour my concrete slab down there. So now I'm just backfilling to hold that down better. So as you will recall in the video where I made this, that I cut the 2x2s for the frame out of 2x6s. So I had to rip 3 2x2s out of the 2x6. Well, it left me with a little piece of scrap. It was about 1 inch. I'm going to use this for trim. I'm going to trim out the corners here. So I'm going to paint these brown to match the house. See, the house has brown trim. Then I'm going to paint this up here. I tell you, painting is not one of my favorite jobs. Okay, I'm trying to get both the house and the well house in the picture at the same time. I think it turned out really nice. It really kind of stands out, looks really good. I mean, for a box in the middle of the yard for no apparent reason, I like it. The flat roof extending out past the French drain so the water will drain off into the French drain. For the walls here, I just put a piece of 2x2 there, and I didn't even do all the sides. I just did the sides that are exposed to the house. So as I said in the beginning of the video, got some bad news, and I'm really upset about this. This makes me mad. So Carolyn comes down and feeds these guys a mesh. I've showed you this mesh before. It's just seeds that she has fermented and they grow and sprout out, and she feeds them that every day. Well, one of the chickens, the little hen, is kind of smaller than the rest of them, so they kind of push her out of being able to eat it. So every day Carolyn takes that little hen out and hand feeds it. Just takes her hand, puts, the chicken underneath her arm and feeds it. She's really grown attached to that chicken. Well, today she was standing out here, big dog. Well, there was actually two. There was a pit bull looking type one and a black lab. And the black lab jumped up and knocked Carolyn off balance, and she dropped the chicken. And of course the chicken was startled by the dog, and instantly the dog took the chicken. I mean, instantly. So, I mean, this just frustrates me to no end. So I've talked to the neighbors about this dog before. A while back, you'll remember that I woke up in the middle of the night and there were dogs underneath my house. Now, I know there are going to be people who are going to blame Carolyn. And, that makes me mad too, that the dog seems to have more rights than the person on her property holding her chicken, feeding her chicken, doing, responsible things. And there are going to be people out there, no, Carolyn shouldn't have taken the chicken out of the pen, especially if there's dogs around. Because apparently, and I know this, some people believe that dogs have more rights than anything else. I've seen famous YouTubers breaking the law, letting dogs run around national forest, telling everybody, now it's illegal to let your dogs run around in national forest, but look at mine. He's a good dog. So I've talked to this guy about this, our neighbor, I'm not our direct neighbor, but a neighbor down the road, about his dogs. They're aggressive. They're not mean. They're aggressive. They jump on you, and it scares you, especially with them. There's 3 of them actually, but there was only 2 today. And so I walked down there to see if there was any chance that the chicken was alive, and I never did see her. I just saw the feathers. There's a church down the hill, probably a mile, and that's where they probably finished her up, because all the chicken feathers were there. I get this a lot, that it's my fault for whatever reason, the victim blaming thing. I don't like to play that game. I mean, it's stupid, but it just aggravates me that there are people out here who think that when something happens to you, it's your fault. You've done something to encourage that behavior. I've talked about people turning me in to the authorities for not doing anything wrong. They'll come out and have to do checks on me because some subscriber called the authorities. Well, it's your fault for being on YouTube. No, it's not my fault. That's like saying the woman that has to go to work at midnight just got off work and is accosted in the middle of the night. Well, it's her fault. She shouldn't have been out in the middle of the night. Well, she's got a job. It's the same thing. And that's what this guy is kind of saying is, they're dogs. They're going to do what they want to do. And, well, keep them pinned up. Now, out here in the country, it's a lot different than it is in the city. Because people are going to say, well, you need to sue him. You need to do something with the dogs. You need to call the police. But you do that kind of stuff around here, and then becomes a war. I mean, think about like the Hatfields and the McCoys. I mean, nobody knows what that fight was all about, but that's kind of the mentality is you're not going to mess with me, and I'm not going to mess with you, and if you start messing with me, and so, if I call the police and then it's just going to escalate and it's going to do this, I got to figure out a way to address this with this guy where he understands that his dogs don't have a right to be on my property hurting my chickens. I'm a little frustrated, so I hate that I ended this video this way. It's part of the off-grid lifestyle, and I know a lot of people say, well, this is why you need to be 100,000 miles away from anybody. I've lived out in the country before, and we had dogs on the property. Dogs are just rule the world, apparently. So tomorrow, I've already contacted someone, And this woman down the road has 6-week-old chickens, so we're gonna go ahead and get 4 more chickens. Because we know we got roosters and we don't have as many hens as that we want. And we've been talking about, you know, maybe we should go ahead and expand it a little bit, try to get more hens. So this is just an opportunity to go ahead and do it. So I hope I can inspire you to find the good, even when there's bad. Thanks for watching.